John, now that you've had a couple days to process it, how do you kind of balance what you guys did the first, 4.5 months, and compared to the 8-game losing streak and falling out of the playoff position?
Yeah, it's disappointing. I think the 8-game losing streak. I don't think we played as bad as the record showed. Easy to pinpoint that because it's so fresh in your memory. A lot of different things could have happened early in the year where maybe you have a few more points. Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is that I'm a little frustrated with that I couldn't get the team to close the deal. Right, that's what we wanted to do. It was a concern of mine. 25 games left or so in the season. Can we stay with it? I think it's my job to get it to the end. I think the team played hard right to the end. I just did not close the deal. As it was the messaging right at certain times. There's a lot of things that run through my mind as a coach when you're that close and then you don't get there. So that's something I've got to evaluate over the summer, and could I have done some things differently? And that's kind of the process I'm in right now.
You spoke really since day one about how you felt the culture was different from training camp.
Mm-hmm.
A good culture doesn't always translate to. You still need talent to go along with that strong culture. I guess, when did you realize that the talent was actually there to be competitive throughout the course of the entire season?
When did I see that it was?
The culture was good. When did you realize that the team was actually going to help the team, and the talent was actually there to stay in it? Did you know that from the start?
No. I think we still need to add talent to our team. There's no question on that. I think it goes hand in hand. When I saw the room come together pretty early on, you could sense that we found a way pretty quickly to play as a team, and I think that's really important in a long 7-month, 82-game schedule, the ups and downs. I think that's really where we're at as an organization. That's a really important point as far as one of those blocks of the foundation, to play as a team. So early on, I felt that we were going to be competitive. I think Carter started off really well. Urs, the tandem there, we were getting not great goaltending, but really solid goaltending. So you could sense it, and you could sense it within the room that let's go and let's block out the noise as far as where people thought we were going to be, and let's just keep it together. And so I think they both go hand in hand. How the room came together really quickly, and then when that happens, I could just sense the team. We played as a team. The thing that was really exciting for me is we talked about a change of style. My first year, we worked our ass off on how to defend because I felt that was a part of the game that we had to play better in front of our goalies. And then when we started talking about a different style of stretching the zone and checking forward, all these different types of things that we changed from our first year, and saw where our team went as far as playing off the rush, it was exciting for me. I wasn't sure where it was going to go. We talked about it as a coaching staff prior to the season and then introduced it to the players, and it kind of took off for us. Having said that, I watch us play, and we play. I love the way we played. But when you get to the last quarter or so, things change. That neutral zone shuts down. And that's where I think, and it falls on my shoulders that you can't play the same style all the time. We needed to add a little bit more forechecking. We have grind on our team. We weren't and won't and didn't get pushed around. But we need to develop more offense within the zone and the grind of it. And that's where that falls on me, that we needed to get more then at the end of the year because the game changes. And I think that's one of the points that I think hurt us at the end. I don't think we I don't think we spent enough time on that part of it. Yeah, so you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's really important as the season and time of the year. Game changes in the National Hockey League. We grinded. I think we developed some offense, but a big part of our offense came off the rush during the year, and we just didn't get it done at the end of the year, and that falls on me.
John, we talked a lot over the final month of the year about the idea of, guys getting a chance to play in these moments. You're going to learn things about guys. Then you mentioned closer to the end of the year that, if guys aren't playing well, you think it can be taught. You can teach them how to play in these situations. Obviously, not everybody on the team was great over the final month or so.
No.
Some guys are better than others.
Yeah.
I guess my question is how much are you going to hold it against the guys who didn't play well, just in terms of your view of where they fit in the long-term plan?
Well, it's holding it against is the wrong way to put it. It's learning about them. It's as we project, we don't make a decision based on 2 or 3 games that they didn't play well. As we meet, Danny and I haven't even met. Danny exited the players and stuff like that. We'll meet next week. We're going to talk about this stuff as far as how guys stood in there in certain times. And that's why it was important to be playing these games. And some guys that just weren't able to get it done. Now, do you make a decision they just can't handle it? Is that who they are, or do you continue working with them? All those conversations are going to happen here in the next week or so with the organization, Danny and everybody. I have my thoughts, and that's how you build. That's how you go about it. It's not next year. As far as ice time, it'll always be a clean slate when the season starts again. But we also have more information on players playing meaningful games. And so that's what we have to keep on spitting out here in our mind and in our thinking of, okay, let's see what happens with them now, but when we get in these type of situations again, are they able to handle it? Those are the decisions we have to make. But it's not one and done. Okay, especially the younger guys, we have to see. But when we see, we're certainly going to keep the information. Some of it's good information for people, some of it's not so good for others. But we're going to keep that information, and then I think you come up with a thought about what that guy is. Is he going to fit in this organization as we keep moving forward or not? And those are discussions we'll have as we go through the summer.
Danny had been pretty adamant about wanting to keep a rebuild going, play the younger guys and stuff. When you come so close, do you feel like maybe you wish you had done more of a deadline?
No,
or do you feel
absolutely
like
not.
it was worth-
Absolutely. What we did at the deadline was right. And this is where you get stuck in the mud when you start thinking, okay, I'll tell you right, we are a ways away. We have so much work to do with this team. There are holes in the team. It's going to take more time, and I'm telling you that right now. Just because we got close and looked at it, it's frustrating for me because I felt that was a part of development. If you have that close to get there, you want to get in. And that's where I'm disappointed because then you get to test them a little bit more in that type. You guys keep on saying this is like a playoff game. Those games were not like playoff games. Jackie, they weren't, because they weren't playoff games. We wanted to get there. That's what was disappointing to me. And that's what I'm disappointed in myself a little bit. And could you have done this differently? Because just to play a few. I don't think we do a whole bunch in it, but we get an opportunity. So get that thought out of your head. We're staying with the process, or it turns into a team just spinning its wheels in the mud again. And no, that is not the philosophy. That is not discussions that we've had. We are sticking with this, and it is going to take some time.
You just mentioned you guys are a ways away. You turned 66 in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still feel the same measure of energy, of competitiveness, everything that will go into seeing the end of that process?
Can I ask you a question? Is this a question based on what was thrown out there? As far as a front office job and stuff like that? No? Okay. I am as energized as I've ever been. This team here, the organization, I love working here. And I'm already thinking about next year. And we'll go. I just spent an hour with Danny. We just spent a half hour with Patrick Sharp and some of our analytics guys on certain players that we think we can help. I am totally in until Danny says, get the hell out of here.
John, you mentioned that you have to evaluate everything, and what's your process, I guess, over the summer? I know you've mentioned you don't like to do your exit interviews until a little later, but how do you handle, like, evaluating and maybe with the messaging especially? Like,
Me?
Yeah, like, what's your process?
It's constant throughout the summer. When it's fresh off, being, the last game and not getting in, and being so close, I've done a lot of thinking as far as what could I have done better here? Was that right? Yeah, that worked. All that goes through your head. Coaches don't get too much. We don't get too much feedback. Danny and I have had a very honest conversation. A couple of them, we're going to watch the playoffs together with Lehigh. We'll have more. We'll talk about a lot of different things, but I think it's really important as for a coach to keep evolving, that you need to self-evaluate and self-evaluate honestly. So that is. I've been going through that for the past couple days because it's just fresh off of a game that was a crazy game, a crazy ending to the season, so close, but then we're done very quickly. So that's constant for me. I don't know how else to explain it. It's a game of mistakes for the players. It's a game of mistakes for coaches. I've made some mistakes this year, not the ones you may think I did, some of the ones that you have no clue what I did. Or have any thoughts on it. There are other things that go on that you're not privy to and you're not supposed to be, that I think I need to be better at. So that's constant with me.
The one that got a lot of attention was pulling Sean out of the lineup. And
Yes.
I think a lot of people understood that he was struggling at the time, but when he made some of the comments that it wasn't communicated to him necessarily leading up to that. Is that a situation that you would have handled differently in hindsight? And is there any sort of communication, a repair job with communication with him? That has to take
No.
place?
Let me ask you a question. Why wouldn't I communicate with Sean if I'm taking him out of the lineup? Did you think to ask yourself that? Why wouldn't I? I did. I'm not going to tell you what was said, but what happens in a game day, I'll put the lineup, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll put the lineup up. I was sitting out Stalzy, Cam, I think Nick was out, and Sean. I went to them the day before. I sat with Sean. I'm not going to tell you what I said. We had a discussion about why he's coming out. Because I didn't want to see him come to the board 8 o'clock in the morning and see that he's out. My whole, because I've read some of your stuff with this, and I know you've beat the drum with it. Why would I want to disrespect him that way? Did you ask yourself that?
Well, the question I think that came to mind was the coach-captain relationship. I've always thought there has to be a strong line of communication between the coach and the captain. Because
Yes.
the captain is sort of the window into the dressing room.
Absolutely.
So does there have to be? Is there any sort of concern there? I guess moving forward.
Not a chance, because Sean and I communicated through that. Listen, I know what Sean said to you guys after. It kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but I think it's the first time Sean's been through something like that. So it really wasn't a big deal for me. I think it turned into a bunch of drama. You talk to a guy that's really not his agent, and he gets to pound his chest, some little pissant out there pounding his chest that really doesn't know what's going on between Sean and I. He doesn't. I get he's trying to protect him. But it turned into a situation where, I I get he's the captain, and the timing of it all isn't great. But I'm not going to. The captaincy's not going to stop me from holding people accountable. And if I determine that other players are playing better, and it was going on for a while, Sean had struggled for a while prior to that, I'm going to make that call. But I will never, ever, especially a player of Sean, and I talked to Cam the day before, I talked to Mark, because they're veteran guys. I don't want them coming to the board and say, shit, I'm out. Those conversations were had the day before. So, yeah, I'm always going to communicate in that type of situation. Now, whether the player agrees with it, and Sean didn't. And that's what I love about him. He didn't. He disagreed. And we just talked yesterday, and we disagreed on a lot of stuff. That's what I love about him. He's willing to say what's on his mind. And that's how our relationship is going to grow. So I want you to understand that. I'm not in the business, Kevin, to disrespect anybody. And if I take a guy of that stature out, I'm going to communicate what it was. And I felt I did. And then we followed up after with video and tried to work that. But I'm not in the business to disrespect people. I think sometimes the way I do things, I'm honest about it, and it turns into a bit of a frenzy of all this sensitivity stuff. If I'm going to make everybody's going to be happy coaching under me, I'm not doing my job. So I want you to understand that. I have a tremendous amount. I want you all to understand that with Sean. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. But I'm going to coach players the way I think I need to coach them. Could happen again next year, But what I will say about Sean and Cam is I can't make a judgment on them this year because I think of their injuries. I think Cam fell off. I think Sean fell off. I can't make a full judgment on them. Thrilled the way they both played early on, but next year we'll see where it goes.
Kind of with
Long-winded answer, but
Oh, sorry. To follow up with that a little bit, I think one of the things that Sean was frustrated about, and I can say that I've spoken to a number of players when they were pulled out of the lineup, that some of their frustration was on, when I asked the question, were you given any direction on what you need to improve on to be back in the lineup? And they were basically said no, they weren't given that direction. So I guess, is that part of the messaging maybe that was
no,
missing this,
not in this situation.
or with anybody really, not even just Sean?
No, all the coaches are pretty much there with it. I think sometimes it's not agreed upon. Usually it isn't, but I pride myself in trying to give them all the information I can. The thing that I want you guys to understand, and I think the players do understand that. If it isn't, because I've got to coach 23 other people too. If it isn't enough, come in my goddamn office, put your fist down, and say, you know what? What are you talking about? Instead of doing it there with you. And I'm not talking about Sean's situation, but if a player has a problem, and this is the way I operate, I want that conversation. Because I have other things to worry about too with other players. And that's what happens with players sometimes. They have to be selfish about themselves, because I think that's the way they can be the best they can be. But I can't be running around with you all day long. I got other things going on too. I talked to Mark Stahl in that same situation, Cam Atkinson in that same situation, Nick DeLoria, how I was going to use him in certain times because his role had changed. So there's a lot of things that go on. I want players to come to me if they have a bitch and they haven't got enough information, because I am right there for them.
With regards to Sean, you mentioned that with him and Cam, you can't fully evaluate them because they were coming off injuries. I guess with Sean, in the first half, you used him pretty heavily.
Played well.
Do you think that in retrospect, maybe you wouldn't have used him as much to
No.
try to get more out of him over the course of the year?
No, I can't. I don't have a crystal ball. No. And you think Sean was pissed off if I sat him then? If I'm playing him 10 or 12 minutes early on in the game, he'd be pissing and moaning then at the beginning of the season. Absolutely not. You guys can pick it apart all your way you want. Coaches don't have a crystal ball to find out what a player is going to be later in the year. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I just want to make sure Sean and I, we're on. We communicated yesterday. Are we going to agree to disagree? Absolutely, probably a lot. But that's what I want. I think that's what a captain's about. The captain's got to come to me and say, you know what, this is going on. Can we fix this or whatever it may be? And I think that's what it's going to be a relationship. I think it's going to be a very strong relationship.
What's it been like watching Zamula grow this year from where he started at the beginning of the season to how his game has just evolved over the year?
Yeah, he is has more to grow. I think was towards the end of the year in a long year in a situation where he's put in a lot of spots, was inconsistent. But that's a big man that has the willingness to make a play, a willingness to look through plays, hold on to pucks and make plays. Helped our power play. Our power play stunk, but helped it at certain times, but fell off. I thought he took a big step in the right direction in progressing, as our team did. I think our team progressed. I think he progressed. I still think there needs to be more as we keep on working with him.
John, in regards to the power play, the issues have kind of preceded Rocky Thompson's time here. But when do you start holding the coach accountable, or are you going to think about the coach at all in terms of overseeing this moving forward?
No. I think Rocky is a terrific coach. Danny and I have talked about this. I think three really big points with our team that organizationally we're going to have to discuss and even ask. I think we've got some pretty bright offensive people within our organization that played in the league, a while back, and not a while back, some just a little bit. But I think we need to have a discussion on our power play. But Rocky Thompson is one hell of a coach. He's so frustrated, as the players are, as we all are, with our power play. So Danny and I got a general manager that was one of the best power play guys in the game. So we're going to sit as an organization with those people and just discuss it this summer. I think it's a point of emphasis for us, our power play. I think our 3-on-3 play is a point of emphasis, and I think our 4-on-4 play has to be. I think I made a mistake this year on our 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 that we did not practice it enough. It's sometimes hard to practice because you got other things going on, and sometimes that just may be a couple of minutes of the game. But I think it's so important, and I think I failed the team this year that we did not do enough work on that. We did a lot of work in the power play. It just it was not good. Organizationally, we have to sit down and talk about that, and Rocky Thompson for sure is going to be in that conversation.
John, do you see it as more of a personnel issue then?
I think it's I think we talked about we've got to bring more talent into the organization, sure, and that's not blaming the players that were on the power play, but we have to add talent to our team, and I think that'll help those three special teams: the power play, 4-on-4, and 3-on-3. But it cannot be as bad as it was this year with the people we had. So we have to look at ourselves with this here, and organizationally we're going to have conversations. I think Rocky has tremendous ideas. I think he thinks out of the box. But Danny and I talk. Let's just bring in some other people. Patrick Sharp is in this organization. Danny Heatley's in this organization. We've got some guys that I think we need to look for different ideas and discuss it because it's that important and it's been that bad.
Could you envision a scenario, because you have these guys internally, Patrick Sharp, Heatley, John LeClaire, who are in different roles. Could you envision a scenario where, obviously it doesn't sound like Rocky's going anywhere, but you guys could shuffle the roles around a little bit where someone could almost be like a standalone power play coach?
No. I think we can do this. I think we can do it as what my staff is right now, but also get ideas from other people. That's what it's one of the true perks for me as a coach to have a general manager that's an ex-player and a pretty damn good player in his day and has gone through the minors, has done it all. I rely on him in helping me navigate through this. So we've talked about this, and I think we're going to bring discussions will be good. And there'll be discussions throughout the year, I'm sure, once we start this. I'm not sure what it looks like yet because we just started talking about it, but it's a very big point as we move forward here. That power play, it's not as bad. It shouldn't be as bad as it has been with the people that we have here right now. I do think we need to add talent to our team, not just for that, but if we're going to go further up the process here in building. So we've got to we're going to explore this, and I've never done it this way. I'm really anxious to see what it looks like.
You mentioned the goaltending as being a real key to the first half.
Yeah.
You guys kind of getting your footing. Would you be comfortable going into next season with Sam and Ivan? I know you probably don't know much about Ivan.
Yeah, I don't. I think Ivan, I put in a hell of a spot. I think when I put him in, when I pulled Sam, put him in, easier to play then than to give him a game, think about it. All the stuff that kid has gone through with his family over there, all the stuff that he's gone through, it's a hell of a spot. I'm going to lean on Dilly. I want to see. I think he needs to get in better shape. You know, it's been such a crazy time for him, and just have a better focus coming over to a new country. But Sam is. You know how I feel about Sam. I talked to you guys about. I just think he's made tremendous strides. There were struggles because I played the hell out of him, and as I said to you last week, I do the same thing because I just do the same thing. But the way he answered at the end, I'm glad he can hang his hat on that. So right now, I mean, that's where we haven't talked yet, Kevin, as far as Danny and I, organizationally, what's down there, what's going to go on. But right now, that's probably what it would be.
Some players said that it's going to take some time for them to process the season. Do you want them to take those kind of weeks to reflect, or would you rather them just kind of take some rest and then immediately start preparing for next season?
Yeah, I think players, they'll spend some time, but listen, if they spend some time thinking about it, they should feel good about it. I think we forget, because we get so close that, holy shit, this was an awful year. We progressed this year. A number of players progressed this year. I found out a style of play fits us this year. I found out that we have some work to do how to play in other parts of the year. These are questions, and I think we have some answers. So if you're getting answers, and most of them I think are positive, then you've progressed. So I think the players should feel good about themselves. I don't do exits. I had 2 or 3. I just need to talk to 2 or 3 players yesterday. I saw a couple in the gym working out. That room is one of the most impressive rooms I've been involved in. And talking to some of the guys yesterday, I think they basically echoed that. They're all out golfing. I'm so jealous of the players. They get to go play softball yesterday. Now they're out golfing somewhere, but they're together. That is so important. There's going to be changes. Some won't be here, and there'll probably be some ads. But we don't. I just think we have a good footing, and that's so important as we started this process.
Last one. John, your
Yeah.
messaging late in the year seemed like for a more advanced team, like a better team going toward the playoffs. Did you think were you trying to push them to get, I'm going to say better than they were, but it seemed like you were pushing a team that was more advanced in their development. I'll put it to you this way, Al.
The style of play is one that, because we pulled back the last 4 or 5 games. We wanted to play better in front of our goalies. The Montreal game, the Columbus game, I think it was too late. But you have to pull back and worry about the grind, the defensive part of the game. But the effort part of the game, you're talking about the Islanders, and I don't take one word back from that. I do not take anything back from that because I think it was a situation that it wasn't a complicated situation. It wasn't X's and O's. It wasn't style of play. It was how hard you have to be. And I wanted our guys to understand, and still do, want them to understand that there is a whole different level of hardness that comes with this as you start getting better as an organization. We moved along pretty well this year, probably quicker than a lot of people thought, but then we're there. I want them to know that, you know, for probably 25, 27 minutes of that game, it was unacceptable. And I wanted to end it right there. We can't go there or we won't have any chance. And it's right, like I said, it's right there. It's right in front of us. Why not test yourself now? Do I think we're going to the finals? No, I don't. But the playoffs are there. Let's test ourselves and how hard you have to play to finish it. And we didn't. Now, if that hurt people, you know, I know it's been, if that hurt people, then we're finding out about people. Because if the same thing came up again, I would do the same thing. Is it, well, I'll leave it at that. I just, you're not going to get me because of what you think is too hard for people not to be hard. That is accountability. That is part of growing a team. As I said, you got the wrong coach here then if we're going to be hugging and we're here, guys. Played a lousy period and a half there, but it's okay. You're not getting that from me, ever. So those are the decisions my management has to make. If they think I made a mistake and they show me the door, so be it. I am not coming off of that because that's how you build a hockey team. That's how you build a mindset of a team that you guys want to be contenders. And that's the way we're going to go about it. I'm not coming off of that.